Ghanaian-born Ibrahim Mahama is one of the world's most influential artists. He is changing the way we think about art. He works globally, like at the Venice Biennale, where a gallery is exhibiting his new works. His pieces highlight social ills and global injustice, earning him international fame.
For me, it's rather an opportunity to see that the work that we do, it means something to the world and to the communities that we come from. Because for us, the idea of making art has always been about the question of the gifts. What does art mean? And what are the associated responsibilities that come along with it? So when you're an artist, it's not just about making beautiful objects, but it's about the criticality that you also bring to the world.
Ibrahim Mahama grew up in northern Ghana, far from the hype of the international art scene. He studied art in Kumasi and now has a studio in Tamale, consisting of several huge halls, which double as workshops and exhibition spaces.
When I started making art from secondary school, a lot of people at the time, they didn't quite understand the significance of it, because normally you are quite skeptical if your relative is doing art, because you don't know whether they will be able to earn a living out of it one day. But for me, the question was never really about earning a living. It was about doing it and doing it right, and then truly asking the meaningful questions that are required within the practice itself.
Mahama's work is far from glamorous. His international breakthrough came with artworks comprising whole buildings draped with old jute sacks. The theatre in Ghana's capital city of Accra, the watchtower at the 2017 Kassel Documenta, and this room at the 2015 Venice Biennale. The jute sacks were a statement. They symbolise the history of Ghana's cocoa trade. The cocoa beans leave the country, and only the sack remains.
I'm really interested in what happens to the bag once it is no longer being used for cocoa. The market women will use it to bag rice, maize, millet. At that point, it has really absorbed what all the politics and the history of the world within it, in terms of like this kind of interglobal trade dialogues and all that. And also the inequalities that are absorbed within it in terms of like labor extraction and all kinds of other things.
These used objects all have a history, telling stories of trade, labor and power. Their history continues to resonate. He even turns scrapped trains into art, like here at a Vienna exhibition in 2025.
All the materials that I collect are normally things that you wouldn't look at twice. Yeah, when you see them, you think that, oh, these are old, they are discarded, they are dead. But it's the role of the artist in order to be able to have a vision and courage, in order to be able to excavate and reawaken the senses within these materials.
Several hundred people work at Ibrahim Mahama's red clay studio. They collect objects and process them into materials for artworks. Mahama could just as easily have a studio in an art capital like London or Paris, but he has deliberately chosen instead to invest in local infrastructure.
The idea that we are producing it here, even repatriating that capital here, means that it's also keeping a history of craftsmanship alive. We're paying people. So aside sometimes the work of art is not just necessarily the object that is produced, but it's also the contribution, the capital that comes into the art also makes to the local community. And for me, that is very important.
Ibrahim Mahama's focus lately is on these terracotta vessels, once used to store water or food. He exhibited them at the Biennale in São Paulo, Brazil in 2023. And they also feature in his current exhibition in Venice. Glassblowers from Murano reproduce them based on Ibrahim's designs.
A lot of these terracotta forms are no longer produced on a scale that they were used to be produced, because a lot of the women who produce this, their children are no longer interested in learning the skill. So on many different levels, there's a certain kind of crisis when it comes to like the history of crafts, particularly coming from different parts of the world. So if you take this, for instance, you realize that there are all these multi-layers within it. So on the side, you can see like all the different histories of repair and all that. And as an artist, I'm very much interested in what the craftsmanship is, not just about the making of the objects, but it's also about the preservation of the object.
In the international art world, Ibrahim Mahama was placed at #1 of the 100 most influential artists. The list is published annually by the British ArtReview magazine.
It's not just because his art is so great. I think it's because in some ways he is emblematic of how the role of the artist is being redefined in today's culture. So he does make art, and that does have a message which is to do with restitution and justice. But he also carries that through in terms of his own actions outside the artwork.
Besides the Red Clay Studio, Ibrahim Mahama also founded the Savannah Center for Contemporary Art in Tamale, an exhibition and workshop space.
I'm from the very traditional art, the drawing, the painting in school, but now I realize that art is beyond just the drawing and painting. So finding myself in the studio or the premises of an artist like Ibrahim is actually very inspiring.
Culture is what drives the engine of the world in terms of the soul of the world itself. So whatever be the case, we need to be able to invest more in it so that at least it can somehow give birth to a generation in the future that can somehow think about different ways of resolving the politics within the world.
Can art change the world? Ibrahim Mahama is convinced it can.